Hey all, this is Reddit Oscar. Today I want to talk about several pieces of news. The first one is that the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom ad that had been leaked, the one I previously talked about, has now been released officially. Now we've already talked about the implications of this ad. It has Link with his long hair, meaning that the long hair is not restricted to the default green tunic. There is a ring of rocks in the distance, suggesting that Koroks are making a return. It shows off Flame Gleeok, implying that there's a Ice Gleeok and a Thunder Gleeok, probably. And because it specifies Bridge of Hylia, there may be other Flame Gleeoks elsewhere. Now, one thing I did not notice the first time I saw it was that Link is wearing the Hylian hood, and he has the hood up, whereas in other shots you can clearly see that he's wearing it and he has the hood down. This is the greatest thing ever. In a recent video, I just talked about how I really wanted Link to be able to put his hood up and put it down in different contexts. It's still unclear whether this is one hood item, and then you'll have another hood item that's the same thing but with the hood down, or if they'll let you use a thing in the menu to put the hood up and down. And if it is a menu-based thing, maybe there are other things, other headpieces that you can do the same thing with. Maybe a helmet you can put up and down. Either way, I'm really happy. This is wonderful. This game keeps giving me everything I ask for. And finally, they show the scene that I was gushing about the last time I talked about this. It's pitch black in the underground. You can see the height coordinate is in the negatives. It's very deep down there. Link fires a new arrow into the darkness, and where it lands, a light source appears, illuminating some of the surroundings and showing you just how massive of an area you're in. Actually, you can't tell how big the area is. That's kind of the great thing. It could be enormous. It could be huge. You don't know how big this area is. You can't see the walls. You can barely see a little bit of the ceiling. And that ceiling seems to be cresting upwards so that you can't see it anymore. You also see some of those trees we've seen before, and it looks like without that bulb, these trees are going to be a guide post. It's going to be illuminated whether the bulb is or not, and it's glowing in the dark menacingly. I am a sucker for true darkness in video games. I really appreciate real darkness and then forcing you to mitigate the effects of that darkness using various items or crafting or torches or whatever systems they have in place to help you get through the dark. And one of the reasons why I think that this forest, this underground dark forest thing, is actually huge is because you can see it in the Goron mining underground area. That area seems to connect to this one, which suggests one or two things, both of which are really good. Either these forests are large and in several different locations and they connect to different biomes like the underground Goron area, or it's not several different locations and it's an enormous, massive, large underground biome the size of a region. And it connects these different locations to each other, meaning there would be several entrances to this place, region-wide, all across the overworld map. I prefer the second one, but the first one's great too. It'll be large and immersive and dark regardless. Now that's enough about the ad, let's talk about the next piece of news. This is classified as a rumor, but this is not a rumor. This is basically confirmed. And the news is that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom previews will drop on April 26th. So that's this coming Wednesday. This article tells us it seems like we'll be getting new gameplay details and impressions on the open world title thanks to an upcoming round of previews. This article talks about a Reddit post that is now deleted, where it says that journalists and content creators were recently invited to Nintendo Europe's HQ in Frankfurt, following a number of them having been dropping teases that point to previews for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And a journalist, Tom Henderson, says on his Twitter that he can confirm this is accurate. That tweet is still up. So it looks like it's legit. It doesn't seem like these people are getting early review copies. That's not what this is. They're having to go to Nintendo's HQ and look at the previews of the game there. They'll probably have an opportunity to play it for a limited amount of time, and then they'll go back and talk about those experiences on their channels or outlets. There's no telling exactly how much information is going to be revealed. Like, are they going to be able to keep that footage and show it off? Are they going to be presented with sample footage that they'll talk over while they describe what happened to them personally? Or will they just have to verbally describe things and be provided with no new footage at all? Not obvious, not clear, but it does seem fairly definitive that on the 26th, on Wednesday, new information is going to be dropping. And so I think it's a good time to talk about spoilers and my channel's spoiler policy. I land in a weird position when it comes to spoilers. Some people think that things can't be spoilers if it's officially released information by the company. So if Nintendo officially releases it, then by definition it can't be a spoiler. At least that's the philosophy some people have adopted. I don't agree with that philosophy. Companies can and often do show more than they should. The clearest example I can think of is Capcom when they were marketing The Great Ace Attorney. Leading up to the release of it, they showed off like little pieces and overviews of each case, including the final case. And in the final case one, they showed off the characters that were involved, it showed off the final bad guy and implied that he was the final bad guy. It showed off the defendant being the accused in a different case. So now you knew that whatever happened in all those previous cases that that character was involved in, she wouldn't be guilty, she wouldn't be going to jail. That trailer, this marketing, fit any definition of spoiler, this marketing has to fall under it. Whatever, if the word's going to have any meaning, this ad has to be a spoiler. And the fact that it's officially marketed information doesn't change that. Now, on the other hand, in the broadest sense, some people think that a spoiler is anything that would reduce their enjoyment of the game had they seen it in-game instead of in marketing, in an ad, from a YouTuber, in a thumbnail. From this perspective, anything that they see that they would have rather seen in-game for the first time is a spoiler. Now that seems like a logical point of view. I respect people that want to not spoil themselves and cut themselves off from the internet like a month in advance, 2 months in advance. Once they start seeing marketing that they think it's too spoilery, and then they cut themselves off, that's great, that's awesome. And it continues to be awesome until they come bother me about it. I also enjoy being spoiler-free, but for me, I have to play a balancing act. I enjoy this lead up until the game's release. I enjoy participating in the community and making theories about what we see and, analyzing frames and talking about it, having guests on my podcast to discuss all the things that we're excited about. For me, this is part of the game. This is part of the game's purpose, its existence. It's not as valuable as actually sitting down and having the game to play, but it's up there, it's close. And in order for me to be completely spoiler-free, apart from not making content for my channel, I'd have to sacrifice this experience that I enjoy of covering the game up until release and talking to, people in the community. And so, for the sake of doing that, I'm willing to tolerate whatever things could potentially be spoilers that Nintendo releases. The point I'm making is that if this previews that people get their hands on has footage, and it has footage from players that are playing it, it's potentially what could happen, or even stock footage from Nintendo. This is probably where we'll start getting complaints. It happens in every community. This is probably where people will start complaining that Nintendo showed too much, that it's got too many spoilers, and that they regret having seen it. So, I need to tell you what the spoiler policy is on my channel. Whether or not I think it's a spoiler, as long as it's officially released information from Nintendo, I will put it on my thumbnails, I'll put it on the video titles, and I will talk about it in the content of my video. If it's not officially released Nintendo information, but it's a leak, then I still might discuss it, but I won't put it on the thumbnail and I won't make it obvious in the title. And in the video, I will make it clear that I'm about to talk about information that maybe you don't want to hear. It is each person's job to try and curate their experience and minimize their exposure to spoilers they don't want to see. My responsibility in that effort does not extend past what I've just described. Anyway, that's the end of this video. As always, thank you very much for watching.